Hey, John Martinez here. I want to talk about hiring salespeople, specifically acquisition agents for investors. There's all kinds of things you want to measure for and you want to look for to identify a top performing salesperson, a rock star, right? And they all fall into the categories of DNA, what's this person made of, what's their belief system, and what skill sets do they have. And I want to talk about one of the skills you want to look for. There's many on both sides there, but one of the skill sets I call presentation approach. Now, presentation approach is not the actual presentation, but it's when do they present their solution, the deal, the structure of the deal, the offer on the property. Now there's a proper time to do this, and there's a time that's actually really, really bad to do this. And you want to make sure that salespeople know the difference between those two times, right? Because one is going to lead to deals and others are going to lead to really prospects that you could have closed that are now maybes or think it overs or that do deal with somebody else. Presentation approach, think about it this way. We've all been to car lots, we've all purchased cars before. I want you to imagine this. Imagine you walked onto a car lot, something like a Ford dealership. Now, if you walk into a Ford dealership, there's everything under the sun, right? There's going to be your economy cars, entry level. There's going to be the small sedans, the mid-size sedans, the large family-size sedans. Then we're going to get into like crossovers and SUVs and sports cars, and then trucks. And then you've got the Super Duties, the small trucks, the medium-duty trucks. Like, Ford probably has, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 different classifications of cars. And even within those classifications, oh my gosh, there's different colors, there's different options, there's different everything. So there's like almost an unlimited amount of cars on a lot if you go to a decent sized Ford dealership. So imagine this. You're going to get whatever you're going to get. Might be an F-150, whatever it is. I want you to just imagine right now, whatever it is. I'm not going to try to guess what it is, but imagine what car or truck or van or sports utility vehicle you'd probably buy. And you walk in there with something in mind, right? It's got to be bigger or smaller. I like this color. But imagine this. You get onto the car lot and the salesperson meets you. And before asking any questions, the salesperson says this. Hey, listen, welcome to Ford. I've got a car I've got to show you. I think it's just perfect for you. I think you're really, really going to like it. I got to show it to you right away. And then they take you over to, let's say, a Focus, if they even sell those anymore, or whatever it is. And they start showing you, look at this black Focus with these options and the cloth seats and this and this. I want you to ask yourself right now, what's the percentage chance that they just out of thin air nailed it? Like, that's the car for me, that's the one, right? What's the chance? It's probably single digits, right? That's the wrong presentation approach. That means they're presenting way, way, way too early. They haven't asked any questions. They don't know what you're looking for. They don't know what's important to you. They don't know why you're there to begin with. They don't know anything about your motivations or what might lead you to say yes or no, or other influencers and anything like that. So their chances of actually pointing you towards the right vehicle, slim to none, right? That's premature presentation approach. It's just way too quickly. Now, what would a good salesperson on a car lot do? Hey, welcome. Besides a lot of the rapport building and all that kind of stuff, what would they do, right? Well, they'd say, what can I do for you? What are you looking for? Do you like a specific type of vehicle? Do you already have one in mind? If not, tell me about your situation. Your cargo, kids, colleagues, do you go off-road? Do you go camping? What do you do in your off time? Where does this vehicle need to go? Financially, where do you want to be on a monthly basis as far as car payment goes, fuel expense, insurance expense? They're going to ask all these questions before they get to, I think I know what I should show you. Let me show you this over here, right? That's a right presentation approach. You see, salespeople, acquisition agents that collect all the right information and ask the right questions first before going into presentation, those are the ones that close the most deals. The ones that present prematurely or who have the wrong presentation approach, they really don't close as many deals. And with that example, you could probably see why. It's fairly obvious. So you want to measure a presentation approach. You want to make sure that all the check mark, the boxes are checked, or whatever you want to call it, before you go into presentation. So you can find out if your salesperson knows when to present correctly two different ways. One way is really to just use assessments, there's lots of different sales assessments. I recommend OMG because it tests for that presentation approach and a few other things that I think are really important. But you could also, if you're just interviewing, ask that question. Here's a question you'd want to ask. Hey, listen, how do you know it's time to give your offer? Like, when do you typically give your offer on the property and kind of go through what you're going to do for somebody? How do you know it's time? Now, if they just say, well, it's the first thing I do, or, well, you know, we just chit-chat for a little bit and then I do it, or, well, I usually lead with that, those are all the wrong answers, right? And you know that now just based on that simple little analogy we had. Now, if they say something like this, well, I want to make sure we cover these 3 topics so I know exactly how to structure it, or at least even if it's the same deal every time, how to explain it. I want to figure out what's important to them, what's not important to them. I want to figure out decision makers, influencers. I want to figure out deal killers. I want to figure out their true motivation. I want to be able to spend a little bit of time really turning up the urgency on that motivation and testing it before I lay everything out. If that's the answer, if it's an answer like that, presentation approach is dialed in. And that's one of the building blocks you're looking for a rock star salesperson or acquisition agent. So I don't care how you ask that question. It can be an assessment, it could be face-to-face, it could be over email or text, whatever. The important thing is that you ask that question. There's a number of questions you want to ask, but that's a biggie. When do you present and why? When do you give your offer? How do you know it's time? See ya.